What's up, Cloud Gamers? Welcome to another episode of CGX Cast. This is Cloud Game Podcast. And if you guys have been following the show, you guys know we have a new format that we've been testing out. So it continues to today's show to where we'll quickly talk about some of the cloud gaming news, but really take some time to go into some in-depth conversation. So we're going to talk about, as you guys know, the XGS, if you want to call it that. We're going to talk about the AWS as well. A lot of stuff happened today, not today, this week, when it just comes to cloud gaming and what these big companies are doing. So we'll break into some of that discussion piece. And as you guys know, Spartacus has been rumored to officially launch next week. So we'll just speculate about that too and what hopefully we'll like to see. I know we've talked about Spartacus so long now, and our predictions. So I'm not gonna spend like a lot of time there, but we will discuss that as well. But yeah, we have Jerry here, we have Maker, and we have Duncan who's gonna be coming in here shortly. But this is the panel for this week. So we'll just kick it off and just say what up to the members and see what they've been playing and what platform. So Jerry, how are you, sir? What have you been playing? What platform?
I'm doing good, man. I have been playing a little bit of Ghostwire Tokyo since yesterday. I know you've been
Nice.
dabbling in that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah. It's fun.
The reviews are, mediocre. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people are kind of killing the game in like 15 hours, which the older I get, I'm okay with quicker campaigns and kind of moving on sometimes with some of these games. But overall, it's not too bad. So I got 2 or 3 hours in that. But what I'm really playing through now is Assassin's Creed Ragnarok DLC.
Ooh, nice.
Because yeah, I haven't put in the time in Valhalla that I did in Odyssey. It just didn't never
Right.
quite drew me in the way Odyssey did, but I got really hooked into the Ragnarok DLC. And even if you've never played Valhalla, but you see that DLC and you want to play it, you could go do that. You can just start a new
That's
game,
awesome.
jump in as Javi or Odin or whatever, and start it. And it's like 33 hours worth of content just in that
My
DLC. It's like a
goodness.
game on its own.
Wow.
So that's pretty much when I get time. I've been going in trying to kill that DLC. It's probably like the last DLC or one of the last DLCs for Valhalla. So,
Okay.
but that's about it.
I'm glad you said that. I've been looking at that. But the same thing, it's so interesting with Valhalla. Like I love the Vikings era, and when I saw the trailer for that game, I was like, this game's gonna take over my life because I liked Odyssey, they tried to
Yeah.
like replicate the 300 story and era. But I was like, I like Vikings better than 300. So I was like, when this game releases, that's it. My life is done. But the game came out and I put like 2 or 3 hours. I don't know. The game is good, but it's just something about maybe I'm like fatigued with Ubisoft. Knowing the game was like 70 plus hours, I was just like, I don't know if I can commit
I
to that, man.
I don't know, man. I put like over 200 hours in Odyssey and
Damn,
loved every
see.
minute of it. It hooked me.
Yeah,
I maybe it's the lore. I don't know. Really love that game. I think it just hit everything perfectly.
yeah,
And so I was ready for Valhalla just like you, especially with
yeah,
Vikings and everything else. I'm like, yes, but it just never gave me the feeling Odyssey did. Odyssey is
yeah.
still one of my favorite Assassin's Creed games, at least of the new series. So Ragnarok's kind of got me like feeling that a little bit more than what Valhalla itself did, which is why I think I'm enjoying that DLC.
Huh. So what do you think it is with Valhalla? Is it the story? Is it the character? Like what didn't get you?
One big thing
Something
that turned me off.
hmm.
I know a lot of people like that aspect. I didn't build of your own colony and
Yeah,
leveling things up to unlock and like the
dude.
things that they kind of changed and put behind. Like Odyssey didn't give you. Odyssey was like
Yeah.
go.
I,
You're right.
I did want to mention, like, I played it and I want to like that aspect, but the problem I have is you don't really see the benefits of it, like
Mm,
for building it up. And I think
Yeah,
if let's say the people in your garrison or your thing were out, you're able to help do missions and stuff. That would have been like a much better thing. I mean, yeah, you can go do like a raid with them, but how often are you going to do that? You want to continue the main story, and then it's basically useless for you for those scenarios. So that was
hmm.
my
yeah. It
biggest
feels more like a
complaint.
wall. Yeah,
So
definitely.
is there something going on with this stream? Proto say My stream is having a stroke. BRB. Mine says too. Says
Yeah, I think
monkey.
we're all right on our end.
Huh.
Looks good here
Okay.
for me.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it
Cool.
looks good on my end.
All right. Good to know. Sorry, Makers. Keep going.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, one other complaint I have is it just felt too long. It felt like it drug on a bit
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
I beat the game. I liked it, but there's definitely a lot of padding in the game.
You played Odyssey too, right?
I actually did not.
Oh, okay. I was gonna have you compare both of them to
Oh,
see
you
which one.
need to go do Odyssey.
Yeah.
Knowing how you do your games, you need to go do Odyssey.
I went from Black Flag. I think I played a little bit of Unity, and then Valhalla was the next one. Because I mean, it was Vikings, and I love Viking lore.
Yeah.
So that's what captured me.
I'm surprised you skipped out an Odyssey. Megan, knowing like how you gamed it, that
I think I have it, but just never played it.
yeah, interesting. Okay, let's check in with you. How have you been, and what have you been playing? What platforms?
I've been decent. You know, I've been playing more Elden Ring as usual.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah. I crossed the 200-hour mark on that game.
Damn.
So yeah, got a lot of hours. Been working on speed running and trying different strats and stuff. So messing with that. I'm thinking about doing a stream for like charity, similar how GCD is doing.
Okay.
But that's here nor there. The other game I've been playing is Tunic. And
okay.
you can see the image behind me.
Background,
And it's like old school Zelda meets Dark Souls. It's yeah, it's not handholdy. It's about exploration, figuring out what you're supposed to do. There's little you know, when back in the day when everyone had those little guides that came with the video games where it told you this is how you controls and how to find certain things. You find those pieces of paper scattered around the world, and they're in a different language, but you can see the images, and so the images kind of hint at what you're supposed to do, which is kind of neat, and it's really cool game overall. But I will say that it ramps up. The difficulty ramps up too hard for the final boss. I spent like an hour trying to beat it, and I eventually just turned no fail mode on, and I said, I'm not spending any more time fighting this boss.
Yeah. To hear you struggling with a boss, bro, like that tells me to stay the hell away from that game.
I mean, the problem is it doesn't really get that hard until that final boss, and then that final boss really wrecked me. So,
dang. Did you change in the modes though? Did you end up beating it?
Yeah, I'd put on no fail mode, which basically you can't die, and so I just beat it that way and got the ending.
That's probably what I'll be playing it on if I was ever to play it. That's cool, man. What else have you been up to, Makers?
I'm probably about to play some Far Cry 6. One of my friend found out that, hey, it's... I forgot to mention, I play Tunic exclusive on xCloud. I didn't download it. I just streamed it and played it on there. But one of my friends found out that Far Cry 6 is having that free weekend.
Yeah.
So he's like, hit me up later tonight. We're going to play some Far Cry for a bit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. Cool to see you gaming for sure. And good to have you here. All right. So we're going to take a sec to say what's up to the viewers, and then we'll just go right into this. So for the people who are watching, something I said earlier, we have a small panel, and something we've been doing is just covering news and then getting to some discussion. Is that my phone? Getting to some discussion pieces. I just keep hearing this sound that's driving me absolutely crazy. All right, just muted it. But yeah, so let's get into it. So let's say what's up to Sniper Bad. How are you, sir? Make I see you in here. Monkey, what's good, my dude? Good to see you. Charlotte, man, gaming. What's up? All right, we see you. How do you say your name, dude? Proto.p, right? Proto.p. All right. What's up, man? Good to see you. Happy as always. Good to see you, my dude. Ray, good to see you. Say what's up, man? Good to see you guys. All right, for those of you guys who are watching the background, GTPIC too, the video is going to be epic. Is it? Are you just doing your whole tagline thing? This video is going to be epic. Yeah. Probably didn't do as good as you, but what's up, man? Barry, good to see you. All right, let's get right into this, man. So we're gonna start with GFN, guys. Oh, so we got a new controller support, guys, for GFN. Stratus Plus wireless controller combines precision with comfort, delivering a full console experience on the mobile phone and giving a competitive edge to Android and Chromebook gamers. So that's the first announcement from GFN this week, guys. We got new controller support, right? Then we got some games, right? The games for this platform that's releasing this week is High Rise City, Fury Unleashed, Power to the People, Project Zomboid, Rugby 2022, and Story of Seasons, Pioneers of the Olive Town. So that's GFN's games for this week. So let's get into these games, man. We'll start with Jerry here, dude. Week or not so week, man?
Do we have to do I have to categorize the week and the not week? You know what I mean? Can I just say, like, let me give the positive?
Okay, go ahead.
Of my week, okay? Because I like to try to stay as positive as I can.
Okay.
One, I think the controller is actually pretty great for the Android Chromebook. I love SteelSeries stuff, so I mean, it's not gonna help me. I don't have Android or Chromebook, but seeing the 90 hours of battery life and the ability to use it on PC with USB and stuff like that, I thought was a pretty good little endorsement announcement for them, for the controller. As far as the games go, there's nothing major here. Did I buy High Rise City? Yes, I did, because I play. Yeah, well, look, I play SimCity, City Skylines, Jurassic World, Sim Theme Park. I love those top-down building type or resource management, which is also what Power to the People is. But High Rise City looked interesting enough to me, and being a new game, because you know me, I do like to play newer titles that come out as I can and keep moving on, and I'll go back for nostalgia later. But I did grab it, haven't tried it yet, but I am going to give it a go just because it's kind of in my wheelhouse and my genre. But is it strong releases for the week? No, certainly not. It's nothing that's groundbreaking, no major titles this week, but it is one that I went ahead and grabbed up and that I'll check out. But it's definitely not for everybody.
Okay, so that's the good news, right?
That's good and bad, you know. It's not strong.
Okay.
It's not, you know, there's nothing I can, as my dad would say, there's nothing I can write home about on this, you know, this week. But I did personally buy a game that I will play on there, and I'm probably one of the few that will buy that game. However, it has decent reviews so far. Yeah, but yeah, nothing major, nothing banger.
Okay. Sounds good. How about you, Makers? Let's check in with you, man.
I think it's a weak week.
Thank you.
I knew you were gonna give him his week, so I'm like, I'm just gonna stick with my. I bought a game. The controller's cool. I'm good.
My goodness, I was gonna skip it for a minute.
I think the biggest title is probably Project Zomboid. I'm not sure how big it is now, but I know a couple weeks back when it got kind of viral for a bit. I think but there's nothing real interesting or new. Well, there's one new game, but nothing like that, in my opinion, hits any decent radar on people. So that's my take on the games.
Can I ask something real quick? So Jerry just recommended the game. I watched it. Looked like a mobile game. And then you just recommended this one. And this looks like a mobile game too.
I don't recommend it.
Didn't you say
it was popular for a little while, just with the zombie survival thing? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's multiplayer, so you can play with friends and stuff like that. I knew a few people who actually did play it and enjoyed it for what it's worth.
GFN giving us mobile games now, man.
I mean, to me, I hate Among Us and think it looks horrible. But look at the amount of people that spend
That's
the amount of
true.
hours on that game.
That's
I'm like,
true.
I
But
won't touch it.
but you see, if that game came out in like Stadia Luna, Among Us, I think it would be great. But again, we rolling with 3080 rigs here, man. You know, yeah. Make us anything else?
Well, funnily enough, I did just look up how many people are currently playing Project Zomboid. Apparently, more people are playing Project Zomboid than The Witcher 3 right now, if
Yeah.
that makes any sense. Or in Cyberpunk and Fallout 4. So it is, people are still playing it, but it's still late in my opinion. I give Stadia the same hard time for late releases, and they
Dude,
should have had this sooner.
what the hell up with these games? I'm like clicking all these games, like trying to find a banger here, dude.
No, there's not. There's
No,
not.
Freaking
no,
like
no, don't.
mobile games this week, man. What's happening here? The hell? Sorry guys. So I'll be honest with you. I was talking to guys. I haven't been too up on the cloud gaming news this week, so I'm like really checking these things out for the first time. So if you see my reaction, apologize in advance. But my goodness, I mean,
Uh,
I saw the titles, but looking at these games, it's like, are you kidding me? Like,
I would
I'm,
say
I'm
GeForce Now's biggest news isn't with the games that came out. It's with what came out with the keynote for
talk
them.
about that real quick, Maker.
So they were showcasing how developers were going to be able to use GeForce Now to develop in the cloud, and how they could utilize AI, like cloud AI that they're currently working on. And one of the neat things that I thought was really interesting about it was the ability to transmit your webcam and almost make it like a Zoom meeting. So you could showcase the game that you're working or the project that you're working on, and you could have your webcam showcased to everybody so you can talk and tell them what's going on with the game and what needs to maybe be worked and stuff like that. And that's really nice. Something that, we saw Luna where you're able to transmit with the phone, and having this with developers, I think it helps greatly with working with the team.
Okay, good. And we'll get more into the AWS and Xbox stuff in the second half, but it seems like all these companies are like talking about the future of cloud and how they are going to take advantage of it. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
If I wanted to go a little bit further in depth about the AI, they showcased kind of 3D models where how this could be maybe worked in a business environment. It showcased like someone was trying to decorate a bar on top of a building. And so they turned to the AI and said, "Hey, can you add some like trees and kind of foliage around here and scatter it around?" And some trees plopped down, and they're like, "Is this good?" And they said, "Can you vary the trees and stuff and make different plants?" And so the AI then plopped down a bunch of different types of plants. And so they're trying to make it kind of very user friendly, and especially with the AI, to make it a lot easier to create models, to create things through GeForce Now and through NVIDIA, which is nice.
Okay. Cool. All right. So you guys probably know what I'm gonna say. It's not GFN's best week here, and it is a weak week. Just know. I mean, seriously, I looked through all those games, like hoping to see. I mean, yes, 16,000 people are playing one of the games, but are you one of them? That's the big question to ask. I know I'm not playing any of them, but this is this is the third week in a row, guys. I'm just gonna be real. Third week in a row. When they go 2 weeks, I say something. The third week is just like, what the hell, right? Anywho, like I said previously, there was news that was supposed to come out for this platform that didn't, and I don't know if that's hindering some of these games coming out on this platform, but I'm hoping that GFN can pick things up. I think next week, if rumors are true with Spartacus, I think all these players, including GFN, are gonna hopefully up the ante with this news and games coming to the platform. But anyway, week, third week in a row.
I did want to clarify. Yeah, Hellmonkey's kind of right. They showcased that kind of AI stuff through the Omniverse, but I will say I feel like there's going to be some integration with GeForce Now and through that, since they are allowing developers, and they did showcase like GeForce Now. I can't remember what the middle one was, and then Omniverse were like 3 sections that they all showcased together. And so that's more of the possibility that I'm thinking of, that, hey, utilize this with developers and it could be really effective.
Okay. So let's move on. When Duncan comes, I'll. This is probably the best week ever for Duncan and GFN. But
Yeah, we gotta start holding off GFN when he's late, so that like we can get his he's playing every one of the games, and we get to hear about, and it's a lot of a lot of good stuff. So
yeah, I always like try to keep Stadia second because I want to get his stake on Stadia. But yeah, I agree. We're gonna try and push GFN again for his entrance. But let's talk about Stadia. Now, I personally think that this was an incredible week for them. I think Stadia had a better week than GFN. I'm just going to put that out there. Some people might not agree with me, but, I was really impressed. But I do want to find out what the panel members have to say about Stadia this week, right? So we got some pro games. And we got some decent games coming to Pro. The first being World War Z Aftermath. To think that's a Pro game, right? They would have to pay for that. We got that for Pro. Deliver Us the Moon is another decent game. You guys saw the trailer. We got that as Pro game also. We're also getting City Legends, The Curse of the Crimson Shadow Collector's Edition, Pro members. Right, and then we get the new Yeast, I believe, is 9 Monstrous Knocks. And Chicken Police is not even done. We're getting Chicken Police Painted Red too. So I'm counting 5 pro games, guys, and I would say 3 of them are new games, and then we get 2 other games with Yeast and Chicken Police, right? And then Adventure Time, Pirates of the Enchiridion, my goodness, came out on the 25th. It's yesterday. And then Trivial Pursuit Live 2 also released that week. And then we are getting the Far Cry 6 play weekend, like Mako was saying, this weekend. So from the 24th to the 28th. And then Dawn of Ragnarok, which is a game that Jerry said he's playing, also was released. I personally like this blog, dudes. Like, this was, I feel, on point for Stadia. But let me check in with you guys. We'll start with Makers, man. What are your thoughts on the games announced for Stadia this week?
I think the pro lineup is pretty decent. To me, there's no real big AAA. There's no Resident Evil 7, no Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, no Life is Strange. But World War Z is a good title. I enjoyed it, and I bought it, so I already own it already. So it's not really appealing to me. East 9, East 9. I'm not too interested in that either, since it is an ongoing series. Deliver Us the Moon. I've heard solid things about that, but I have not played it yet. So I think overall, pro solid, and the announcement of games I think are kind of weak. You know, I would love, I would, I would love to see some more newer games. And that's my thing is I want them to get some newer or bigger titles and uh, DLC and games that are like 2 years old don't really interest me. So,
Ooh,
uh,
but okay, so okay, okay, all right, I hear you, Maker. But we're getting 3 new games that hasn't released in the platform at all.
With
Those
the
are not,
Stadia.
for
yeah,
Stadia, yeah,
yeah, not good
oh,
enough.
no. World War Z, since I already own it on PC, I can play it through Geforce Now if I wanted to, since they've already got it. And um, not really interested. I'm not really interested in playing Delivers the Moon. Like
What?
the game, it looks like a fun game that I'd mess around with for a couple hours, but it's kind of like Space Engineers. I wouldn't. I'd maybe dabble with it, goof around with it, but that's about it.
Man, okay. Okay. I thought this was a great week, but let's hear Jerry, man. What's your take here?
Well, I mean, the newest stuff that came in the blog, which I think is actually pretty good, is the Ragnarok DLC, which has been out since March 10th. And Far Cry 6 having the free to play for pros for the weekend. And I know Maker said earlier, one of the reasons why he's going to be jumping in that with a friend is because of the free play weekend, whether it be for Stadia or wherever. It's still really cool. And they have the Vanishing DLC tied into Netflix's Stranger Things with that. So a couple of really cool pieces of content there. That's not like a surprise though, right? Because that's Ubisoft. We know every DLC and every game. It's coming. It's great, and we already know it's going to be there. As far as the pro titles, that's where it gets kind of hairy when you start comparing to things like GFN that doesn't really have a sub model, right? Because if you're talking about pro games for $10 a month, I've played these. I played Deliver Us the Moon. It's a great ray tracing title actually on PC. That's what I use it mostly for, is benchmarking RTX and DLSS and whatnot. Aftermath, World War Z, played it, really liked it. Yeast 9 is a good title as well, especially since was there 7, 8, and 9 on Stadia? Would I be right in saying
Just
that?
8,
Or
8
7
and
and 9,
9,
or 8 and 9,
8 and
okay.
9.
8 and 9 for that. So I think if you're talking about the subscription and what you're getting for those 5 games, it's pretty good, right? That's solid to get Deliver Us the Moon and World War Z and that type of thing. And that's what makes it look better than GeForce Now's week. But I would expect it when I'm paying a subscription for games, not just for access to something. So I think I said this earlier, solid for the pro games. Nothing exciting as far as like new additions to games. Nothing here that's going to necessarily bring players to the subscription service, because a lot of players would have already jumped into these. But solid for the pro membership and for Stadians that are looking to play this stuff. I mean, Deliver Us the Moon and World War Z, definitely go. If you haven't played those, go play them. For me, Jedi Fallen Order was one of the big pro months for me when they had that on there. And then I went and played some more Jedi Fallen Order, but I also love that game. Like,
Yeah.
I played it quite a few times through. So, but yeah, solid enough for the pro games. Nothing super exciting. Good DLC from Ubisoft. But yeah, if you want to call it a stronger week than GFN, if you're looking at the pro subscription, I would agree.
Yeah. Newsweek, stronger Newsweek than GFN, right? I would say so. But yeah, thank you for that, Jerry. I personally, I think, by far this year, this is the best pro lineup, hands down. I mean, again, War War Z was a game that people thought they would have to pay for. Deliver Us the Moon was another game that people thought that they will have to pay
I was going to
for.
say, they just announced Deliver Us the Moon
Yeah,
coming
dude.
and then put it in pro. So I'm
Yeah.
glad it wasn't like you buy it and then 2
That's-
weeks. Because I look, how I
That's
look for
true.
that.
That's true.
So I like that. Like, I was
That's
like, okay, if
true.
you're going to make it pro anyway, just give it to them at release.
Just give it to them. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
So I'll be 100% real. These games, like Chicken Police was a game that I saw. I was like, this looks crazy as hell. I would like to play it, but I'm not gonna pay for it, right? I knew it was coming to pro. For some reason, I just knew, right? So the fact that we're getting it is a huge plus for me. Yeast 8 was one of my favorite games. I played on the Switch, beat it, got it on Stadia, did a video on it, and it runs so good in Stadia. I'm not a big fan of 9. Did just something with the main character, the red hair dude, just didn't catch my attention. But now that there's some pro, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna give it another go. And then World War Z is a game that I've always wanted to play. And like all these games are for the first time. Like, yo, I'm gonna play these games, and to me that's huge. So something else to take into consideration is these are full games, right? Something people tend to, fail to realize with Stadia Pro games, like if we're getting games on Xbox Cloud Gaming or Amazon Luna, those games or GFN or less through the Epic, but those games are the games that rotate, right? So they might come, right? But there's potential that they might leave. But these games, once you hit claim, dude, they're yours. So to know we're getting all these 5 games and they're gonna stay in our library, we don't have to worry about them rotating. I don't know, man. I like it.
I want to bring up an interesting point because something hit me when you said about Chicken Police, right? And I almost laughed trying to say Chicken Police for that game, right? Like it's something I want to check out. And like you said, you were never going to buy it. You would love to check it out. You were never going to buy it. And this is where I think as Stadia pivots, if they do try it all, I'm okay with the whole indie AA path, especially if you'll put a lot of those games into Pro, because what is Game Pass success? It's a lot of these smaller titles that people would never touch because it would cost them, but they jump in on Game Pass like crazy, and they get a lot of movement there. So I think with you saying like a title like Chicken Police and whatnot, if Stadia could concentrate really hard on those smaller publishers, those smaller games, and keep bringing them to the subscription, not that they would be the Game Pass, but they would have their own thing going there where they would have a lot to offer, and we would play so many more games that we would never play if we were going to buy them. I know a lot of people are looking towards the Game Pass model, but there's a reason it's really successful, and it doesn't always have to be AAA. It can be all kinds of different games that come to that sub. And when you say Chicken Police, you want to try it because it's on Pro. It's like, yeah, Stadia, bring more games that don't cost a fortune, bring more indie, bring more AA, get them into Pro, revamp your subscription if you have to, and get people in that want to cycle through and play through those games. I think that would be a great path.
There we go. Yeah, I good point with that, and hopefully we see more of that, and hopefully that's what, now that we're not getting same day release AAA bangers, that would be the focus. I think it'll be good.
And that is a benefit to the game not leaving. I have no issue with third-party games leaving Game Pass. They, like shows leave Netflix and other things. I'm used to that. They come and go. You could buy them at a discount. First-party stays, whatever. But with Stadia, they could have something unique where it's like even those smaller games, that aren't big, they're not going anywhere. You claim it, you've got it with your sub, and you're good to go.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, that's our take. So when Duncan arrives, we're just gonna have him like rapid fire with his take or his input on all these news. But I do want to move on. Again, we have some big discussion pieces to talk about. So I'm just going to ask this. Amazon Luna released one game this week. Jared, do you know what that game is?
Monopoly Madness, right?
Oh,
Or
shit.
something like that.
You read the
Yeah.
notes.
I actually play Monopoly with the wife. I've said this before on the podcast that like I have no issue with Monopoly Madness. Like I'm not afraid to admit that I play all kinds of different Monopoly
Yeah.
and Uno. Like I have a little addiction to some of these games that I'll hit on, but I'm not.
But did you play
that's
this
about
game this week, though?
No, the only thing I've played on Luna this week is Ragnarok. The deal that's been most of my extra time has been to jump in on Ragnarok when I've had
Did
time.
you play
or
it
I've been
on
my
Luna or
Switch.
GFN?
Both.
How
Both.
do you do that? Like,
Okay, so here's the deal, man.
Yeah.
I do GFN on my TV with the shield for 4K and all that. I love it. It's gorgeous on Ragnarok, right? It looks great with the 3080. If I jump over to like my iPad or my phone or something, my phone's rare, but my iPad I'll jump on more. I just like Luna. I don't know why. I like booting up on Luna. I enjoy the interface. I jump on there. So yeah, I've said before, I do that a lot where I combine GFN and Luna where I can, and that's why I love my Ubisoft subscription because whether I'm on my PC, Stadia, Luna, GFN, it's all my same save, it's my same game, and I'm just jumping all around. So
Mm,
GFN's been mostly on the TV, Luna on my iPad
okay,
for Ragnarok, yeah,
that's
but
cool.
not Monopoly yet, yeah.
Okay.
I
It's
mostly only use Luna for my Ubisoft sub, and I've said that like that's
yeah,
my main thing. And I played Chorus all the way through because that was a great ad, day and date release for a
yeah,
$40 title. I didn't have to buy it anywhere. I played it through on Luna. You know, that's only one, so it doesn't. You know, it's not for everyone. But
right.
Chorus and the Ubisoft channel, that's mostly what I do with Luna right now. They're gonna have to add like EA, Sega, like they're gonna have to bring more things for me to come for more than just Ubisoft or the occasional title.
Okay, okay, fair enough. How about you, Maker? Did you touch all of us here have access to Luna, right? Did you touch Monopoly on Luna this week?
Oh God, no.
Okay, okay. What are your thoughts about them getting this game?
It's weaker than weak.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I like that. Okay. But do you know if this released for the family channel though?
I'm not sure. I haven't
Do you know,
checked.
Jerry, Monopoly? Let's
I
see.
thought it was the wasn't it through Ubisoft? Or did they
Just
put it on the
probably.
Luna
Oh,
Plus? I don't think it's on the family.
oh, okay.
Usually, when we get those titles, they're straight from the Ubisoft channel.
Okay.
I'll let you know here in a second
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
can see it. I'm pulling it up, but
Uh, there comes trouble. No.
hopefully Luna brings their 4K eventually because they took the
Dude.
option out where it used to say coming soon, and now that's gone. That's
Yeah,
been gone for a while. I just got reminded of it.
yeah. Anywho, we'll let Duncan settle in real quick, and then we'll check in with him and see what he's been up to with these cloud gaming news. But all right. So my take on Luna, you guys probably know where I stand. This is weaker
Yeah,
than
Ubisoft, of
GFN,
course.
right? So
Oh yeah.
should tell you a lot. Um, but yeah, it's just, jeez, man.
And did you find it? Monopoly is just the Ubisoft Plus sub, so
Ubisoft
that's not
Plus.
part of your Luna. Yeah, that's part of the Ubisoft channel. So
Okay. Dude, when Stadia consistently has better news week than GFN and Amazon Luna, it's bad, man. It's bad. But Xbox Cloud Gaming, I'll just say shout outs to them. They've been holding that, like they've been getting some pretty good games. And like I said, I'm projecting them to be the poster boy for cloud gaming. So I'm not too concerned about them.
you know,
They
you
have
know what
the
Stadia's been pretty good at Ace lately, and it's
mm,
hard to say because they've been horrible, obviously, with marketing and stuff like that.
mm-hmm,
But I've said before, like they only have so many games, right? And they
right.
only have so many weapons in their arsenal. But
Yeah.
it seems like the past, I don't know what month, maybe 2 months, they've been at least better at using the arsenal that they have, the small amount of games they do have, the titles that they do have. It seems like they're at least trying to find a way to use those to keep like a news flow going and to keep things looking decent as to where they weren't so good at that before. And I don't know if that keeps up or if it's just me. I just feel like even though they only have so much, they're getting a little bit better at how to use that little bit to get some momentum.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. They they're making it work with what they have.
Right? Make it work with what you got.
Yeah.
I mean,
For real, that's what it comes down to. But yeah. I mean, if you've been with Stadia for since the release, you probably all these games that they run in, promotion sales, you probably have them all by now, you
yeah,
know.
when I go in, it
Um,
says claim, claim, claim,
yeah.
claim, 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 or or in library. Like,
Stadia Pro,
But
Stadia Pro, Stadia Pro, Stadia Pro. It's crazy.
yeah.
It's
yeah,
crazy.
I will have to say I do think that they've been doing a better job with Pro with
Hmm.
Stadia, but it just in general for games coming to purchase through the title or through the platform, I think are a bit lacking. I would love to see some bigger or newer titles, and that's my
Yeah.
biggest complaint about them is more triple A's and more newer titles. Like even like some of the newer indies, I'd be okay with. You
Yeah.
know,
We got 3 new titles this month alone coming, right?
not really new.
But new to Stadia, right? So let's check in with Duncan, dude. We'll start with GFN. That's what we covered first. Overall take on GFN news this week. We
GFN news.
uh-huh.
GFN news was Mia this week. I was really for me. I actually got excited from the GDC or their GDC, their conference they had, which
Yep.
they didn't promote to the user base. Not going down that one again. I got really, really excited about what was shown there. The user testing is pretty cool, and Omniverse. There could be some interesting things that come out from that, which could end up going into the consumer side of things.
Mm.
The games themselves, Project Zomboid is the biggest game going to cloud over the last couple of weeks, and the numbers speak for themselves. I know a lot of people are going to laugh at that because that's not a banger and a game to show off the 3080, but that is actually a pretty big and decent game to come. The GFN, but
which one?
Project Zomboid. You were talking about all these games going to Stadia and Stadia Pro. Game, have I touched on Stadia yet? Sorry, I'm just in.
Yeah. We just finished Stadia. We were actually on Amazon Luna.
What if you count out all the user base, how many people is playing the games on Stadia, the Stadia Pro games and all them games coming, and you've compared to Project Zomboid has still got more people playing than the Stadia games, but I still think it was a good week for Stadia. So GFN, I think that I want to see something more, something to actually showcase a bit of the 3080.
Thank you, Duncan. I
Yes,
thought you that's good to hear. I was
but-
kind of concerned, man.
you were kind of concerned, but
Kind of concerned.
but Project Zomboid is the biggest game out from the list of all the games out this week on Clyde. But we don't
So-
go into that.
Do you think GFN like looks at do you think so this game, like you were saying, has a lot of people in the chat. Monkey was saying has 16K, and I think you said that Maker too. Do you think they look at the numbers and be like, we should target games with big player base compared to like AAA bangers? Do you think that's like what helps them make the decision of what games they're gonna get for the week?
Yep, it's what we've been yapping on about for a while. It's sanity versus vanity. It's you want the games which have the big user bases there. Obviously, you want the Elden Rings and stuff like that, which they don't have. But that's not a realistic get for GFN because of the developer there. But they are going to go after these games. They had Dread Hunger last week, which is last week it had about 60,000 people playing it, concurrents. That is. They've got Project Zomboid, but it was up around that a couple of months ago. They're going for the games which have the user base. If you go for the games that have the user base, you're more likely to get people onto your platform and service.
So let me do this then, because I'm not a PC gamer, right? I'm a console gamer. So when I see these games, I'm like, But from a PC, I wish Chief was on here as well. But Jerry, I'm gonna target this one directly to you. Like, do you see these games and, are you like, oh, yeah, it's pretty good stuff for PC gamers?
What happens for me a lot of times with GFN, even on our weeks, I follow the same stuff like Duncan's talking about. We're up to something like 1.98 billion PC players or something. It's the largest gaming community there is on the planet. It's huge. So it would make perfect sense for them to target the popular games. Look at Valheim, right? I tried to play that game and I just it wasn't for me, and I personally hated it. But it stayed up there for a while, and still every now and then is boost up there. They get popular stuff. When I see GFN's releases, even though sometimes I'm like, okay, I might not touch any of these titles, I'm happy to see a lot of the games they bring sometimes because I know it's growing their base. The kind of people who are sitting there playing these PC games who want access to them, whether it be on free tier, $10 or 3080 or whatever. So that's why a lot of the times where I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. The bangers aren't here, or maybe there's nothing here for me this week. Maybe there's only 2 games this month I want to play on GFN or something. But I still respect the fact that they're targeting the high player numbers, because if you don't, how are you going how are you going to grow your base? You got to kind of do that. And they still are host to some of the most popular, highest player count games on the planet. You know, when you get into CSGO and Dota and Fortnite and all the games that we're all tired of, like we don't care, well, the rest of the planet still does. And they're playing those games in huge force. And GFN has those for the PC community. When you look at something like Stadia, and I've said this before, that's the only true console experience in the cloud. Nobody does a console experience in the cloud but Stadia. It's a true buy it, own it, or have your sub, click on it, and it launches like a freaking console game, not like a PC game, and all that type of thing. And it really caters more to the console audience. And I'm both a huge console and PC gamer, but I get the idea of both. I play different kinds of games on my consoles than I do on my PC. And for someone like you who's a big console gamer, I usually say, like, except for certain games, services like GFN probably aren't going to be in your wheelhouse. They're probably most of the time not going to be the service you were looking for. And I think that's why it gets disappointing for Stadia, for the Stadia community, because those guys that want that console experience like you, they need those games coming like Xbox has and like PlayStation has. You need those big AAA games coming for that console experience. So it's a totally two different products with different bases. And I think that most of the time, even though we don't care about a lot of the games, GFN's doing a great job building the PC community. Stadia needs to find a better way to build their console community.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks for that. But yeah, you know, something I'm trying to do is just understand, because there's a reason why GFN continues to, you know, really release these games, man. Obviously, it's doing something.
You didn't just
for
put
them.
mobile. You didn't say mobile is bigger than
Mike
PC.
did, yeah.
And I agree.
I'm not
It is big.
disputing it, but I could care less about mobile gaming, and I never ever will. It's not real gaming to me.
Oh man.
It really
Yeah.
isn't. To me, mobile games and stuff, I think it's great and all, but for me personally, that's never going to be real gaming. I grew up on the consoles, on the PCs. Cloud's real gaming. That's why it's real titles coming to me. I can play NBA 2K22 on my iPhone, but it ain't the same NBA 22, 2K20 I'm going to play somewhere else. So I don't care. Mobile gaming for me is not real
That's
gaming.
hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay.
Yes, with this the sanity versus vanity, as we were going for, with GeForce Now, the game I always come back to is Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is what you would call a AAA banger. It's a game that needs to be there. Their peak concurrent on Steam was 10,000. Project Zomboid at this moment in time, and it's on its way down, is at 16,000, 17,000 concurrents.
But here's the deal. So when it comes to sales, right? That's why I don't agree with this whole concurrent thing, right? When it comes to sales, a game like, say, Final Fantasy, when released, can sell millions. But I can guarantee you, if you ran, first of all, concurrent PC players, right? Like, if you, first of all, get the console's numbers, it's probably higher than PC, I would assume. But games that sell millions don't always have like the biggest like concurrent numbers, I would assume, right? But they still sell millions. That's why I don't know. I don't know how I feel about, yes, it's 16K, but like how much did that game sell? Like realistically speaking.
Sorry. I just want to say, like, really depends on the market. I think games like those big Square Enix titles probably do better on console because that's where they originated than say a PC crowd. But I will say that PC does have some games that just kind of explode in popularity.
Yeah, true.
Like Valheim, for example. That one like just exploded. It's a smaller game, like similar to like Project Zomboid wasn't on the level of Valheim or anything of that nature, but it did have like a resurgence. People were interested in this game, and that's kind of why I'm criticizing GFN, because it did come late to GFN. I personally think it should have been here weeks ago.
Okay, so you back to like Guardians of the Galaxy, right? 10K players, comparing it to other games. Anyone know how much that game sold?
Oh, but Square Enix weren't happy with it.
They weren't happy with the sales. Okay,
No.
Guardians of the sales disappointed. Oh yeah. All right. Okay.
One thing that might be worth mentioning GFN is it's been found on the code on the GFN website that they may be getting, again, complete another speculation, put the speculation thing off. I'm not saying this is happening, but they've got into the code there, and it looks like there could be free demos and stuff going to GFN. Sort of like the free, like what Stadia is doing, where you can just jump in and play the games straight on GFN. So that is something to keep an eye on. They've actually found the code for that.
All right. So they're not giving us sales numbers, right? But I'm reading a statement here that says Square Enix has a long history of overextending its sales projections for the AAA title. Despite moving nearly 3.5 million in 4 weeks, 2013 Tomb Raider reboot was considered a disappointment. I'm sure Guardians have broken 1 million in sales, right? And it says here Hitman shifted 3.6 million copies, and they still consider that a disappointment. So that that's what I'm saying. Like, this game, I would assume has cracked, especially like with the Marvel branding, has cracked 1 million. So yes, you have 16K concurrent players, but if this franchise has cracked 1 million plus, I would consider that more successful than having recurring 16,000. And then it's different because, again, 16,000, if it's an online game, it makes sense. But this is like a single player focused game. And once you beat it, you're done. You put it aside. So I don't know. I see the PC gamers like really going in with this 16, like the concurrent user base, but from a console gamer perspective, that stuff doesn't like really have me excited. To me, it's like, how much did the game sell? You know, that's how you, to me as a console, see if the franchise or game is successful as a whole. Just me.
Concurrent can be indicative of how they're. Oh, whoa!
Oh, that's crazy.
You okay over there?
My mic just fell off. Keep going.
But it can somewhat be indicative of how well the game sold. Like, look at Elden Ring. You know, it hit like in like the top 5 most played, and it sold 12 million copies in this short of a period of time. So it being popular with concurrent users can mean that it's doing really well. Yeah, we don't have like all the exact numbers, but generally, if it's doing well with concurrent, it's selling pretty dang well.
Sorry, makes sense. So weird. Anywho, just it shows like how crappy this week has been as a whole. This is just like the icing on the cake. Anywho, yeah, I get what you're saying, Maker, but A's dead is alive. I know, I agree. But gotta back up. But yeah, okay. So what time is it? All right, we got 4 minutes before the hour hits, and I do want to hit on these discussion pieces. Again, just giving the whole hour to get into the discussions. So we covered Luna, we covered Geforce Now and Google Stadia. Nothing much happening in the Xbox space when it comes to like releases. Am I missing something? Anyone? Go ahead, Duncan, with Xbox Cloud Gaming.
You muted.
Yes, I'm muted. I'm also looking for my my sort of notes here. 4 games. Zero Escape, The Notary Games, Kraken Academy, Tinted Grail, and a Memoir Blue. Nothing really standing out for me, but there was 4 games which came. And there's a couple of nice wee perks on Game Pass as well. Just in time for the Halo TV series, you can get Paramount Plus for the month. And if you're a big Marvel fan, you can get 3 months of the comics as part of the subscription there as well.
Yeah, I'm excited. Did that show a release yet?
Yeah.
Halo did.
First episode.
Anyone watch it? How is it? Is it good?
It's okay.
It's okay. Jerry, you've got.
I'm above Maker, but look, I'm not. I think we've gotten so hypercritical these days about games and shows and movies to where we have trouble in just enjoying them and being entertained. And I went into Halo just ready to take all of my years of Halo and just enjoy what they threw at me and see what it was. And I just, for the first episode, for me, I loved it. I'm ready for more Chief. I'm ready for more Halo. I don't know where they're going to take it. It could definitely fizzle out, but like, I don't know. It wasn't perfect by any means, but for me, I was entertained enough to see Chief on the screen and the show. I mean, even other things I'm watching on Paramount, like Picard season 2 and other shows, I don't think hold up to things I watched when I was younger or other things, but I'm still hugely entertained by them and take them for what they are. I'm trying to get much better this year at stepping away from so much of the hypercritical, negative thinking, picking apart every little tiny detail of every game or movie or show. Because honestly, the past 2 or 3 years, I've gotten to where I just don't enjoy half of the content that I used to. I'm too worried about if an actor is woke. I'm too worried about if, a storyline didn't follow something I wanted it to. Was this special effect right? Did Chief move right? Did somebody do something right in Star Wars? Did this follow? You know what? I'm tired of all of it. I've just gone back to enjoying all these things that are being thrown at me. That's just how I'm seeing it now.
Good for you. And what does the release look like? Is it one episode a week or how?
Yeah, it's a weekly. Paramount's pretty on their whole weekly. They don't want you to binge and be done, and then they'll release a show, and then another one will overlap, and then another one will overlap. So you don't ever really want to let it go. But at $4.99, like that's one of my best subs. I only pay $5 a month for Paramount Plus, and I get a lot out of it.
Yeah. Do we know how many we here talking about Halo? But do we know how many episodes they expected?
I'm not personally sure how many are coming.
Because if it's 4, wait.
No, it'll be 8 or more most likely. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool though that you do get 30 days to as a Game Pass member to kind of test it out, see if you like it, to continue.
Yeah, my hunch is you'll need another month or 2.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
finish
see,
Halo. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking.
That's why I was like, are they just giving Game Pass members the whole thing, to watch for free? That would be cool. But yeah, I can see. Okay, it's a good way to get your beak wet, like Kevin Noller say, and then hopefully jump in.
I just looked it up. IMDb's listing 9 episodes total for the series.
Okay. So you gotta pay for 2 months after what you get. It sounds like to get it all, if I can do math correctly. All right, cool. So let's move into these discussion pieces, man. And thank you for the rest of the Xbox update there, Duncan. But yeah, so I'm gonna call on Makers a lot for these discussion pieces because he's been kind of following this, all these news like a hawk. But AWS, if you guys been following just cloud gaming this week, there's been some announcement from Xbox at their devs conference then, and AWS as well from Amazon's stuff as well. But I'm gonna have Make explain this. AWS for Games was not launched, but I would say, was it launched or was it? Go ahead, Makers.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm trying to pull up the article right now. Yeah. Duncan could probably tell you a bit more.
There's me getting pushed under the bus here. Basically, yeah, it's basically the same as Microsoft as well, which we're going to come into. They've basically split off their gaming division, which is already the biggest one out there, the cloud gaming aspect of it. They've split that off, made it a bit clearer. Just like Google for Games, there's Amazon AWS for Games, and the Microsoft ID at Azure and stuff like that. It's just making it clearer that gaming is such a big part of their future, which is absolutely great to see. Now, Maker, you've got the article there. I'm just doing this from my sort of head here. You can go in. I can throw you back under the bus after you throw me under the bus. I'm going to drag you down with me here.
Yeah. So before makers get into that, something to highlight with this article is just the projection of where they view cloud gaming market cap to be at in 2024. So they're expecting it to jump to 6.5 bill. And again, last year was at 1.57. So to see that growth in 2 years from now, still not, still not the biggest, but is big enough to be catching these companies' interest. But Maker, go ahead, continue.
AWS is basically offering a wide slew of, just cloud game development, game servers, game security, live operations, game analytics, game AI and machine learning. So it seems like they're offering kind of a wide variety of, services and things to support these developers to creating games through the cloud. Not necessarily like cloud utilized, like cloud, not necessarily cloud native, but tools so that they can create these games over the cloud and then push it out in an efficient manner. And that's what I'm basically getting from the article here. And they talk about new services and solutions for developers with AWS Game Kit, and just helping these developers push out games, which I think is really smart, and it's good in general.
Yeah. So the same day this was announced, right? And we'll get to Microsoft in a bit, but Microsoft also announced theirs. And again, Azure game development virtual machine, similar to what AWS is for Amazon, right? And we saw the shift that Google made to kind of put Google Cloud and just gaming on the map. So it's quite interesting. I would say some of this is like focused towards like the B2B side of things, and does that change the game for like cloud gaming as a whole, right? So originally we thought like Google's focus with Stadia is to pretty much like compete with consoles and stuff like that. But seeing it almost feels like these companies now are changing the approach, and the Lunas, the Stadias, the Xbox Cloud Gaming, in a way it's not like their ideal focus. It seems like a way to kind of push in a way the B2B side of things. So is this what to expect for cloud gaming going forward, to where it almost feels like these services are kind of like demos or showcase piece to show what the service can do to B2Bs, right? I don't know, but just researching, looking at the news that all took place this week with AWS games and also what Microsoft had to announce, just what are your thoughts about that? Do you think the B2B side is going to be the focus when it comes to cloud gaming for these companies, or do you see them like still investing heavily with just Google Stadia, Luna, and creating a product out of that instead of it just being like a demo to showcase what their services can do? Anyone can hop in there.
Okay, Maker, you go first.
I think that Microsoft is going to do both.
Okay.
Azure is already like super popular amongst businesses, and I did want to mention that they did notate several games that utilized the Azure, development, and like Dirt 5 is there, Fall Guys, Rainbow Six Siege, World War Z, No Man's Sky, showcasing some titles that are currently utilizing that Azure tools and stuff like that. So they're definitely going to be keep pushing this, but Microsoft also wants to supplement their own service, and that's why you see them buying studios so that they can push content. And that's the key thing of showcasing how committed they are to creating their own platform as well. Commercial facing at least.
Okay, fair enough. How about you? You were gonna say something, Duncan?
Yeah, I think it's we need to be very, very clear about this. There's two different types of cloud gaming. There is the cloud streaming, which is Stadia, GFN, Luna, and there's the cloud gaming, which is the infrastructure side as well. And because AWS and Azure is talking about both, it sort of gets mubbled up into a bit of both. And for me, Microsoft are well on the money here. So if you go into this bit here, if you go into that article which Makers shared us, from that whole article, there's only one tiny bit which mentions streaming. The rest is all the infrastructure side.
Yeah.
The Microsoft talk this week got me really, really excited because they are going for it big style with the cloud gaming.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure now that we are going to see a cloud-only game out from Microsoft. If not this year, it will be next year.
Yeah.
Because
keep going, sorry.
Because what they're looking for, they've specifically stated they're looking experimental games as well to just try out cloud gaming. So they're looking small games just to figure out some cloud stuff. So I'm just really, really excited to see where they're going to be going with that.
Okay, fair enough. I did want to say we're gonna cover Xbox because again, if I spent like 15 minutes or 16 minutes watching the cloud focus, and I would highly encourage you guys to do that if you haven't yet. I forgot her name, Kim something, right? It might be butchering her name. Yeah, she did a good job. By the way, she worked at Google from what I'm hearing, right? And worked at Portal, right? So in a way, she has experience, and she's one spearheading Microsoft efforts, to create like cloud-focused games. And so if you haven't watched that, is really informative stuff and good overall. But we're gonna get more into that. So when you were talking, Duncan, I know I saw you kind of get into that, but yeah. So let's check in with GTP, man. What's your take here with all of this?
It's been a really interesting week or couple of weeks really when it comes to all these announcements for cloud. We haven't even really mentioned, at least today, with Ubisoft's scalar approach, where using local hardware and a combination of cloud, creating gaming experiences you wouldn't normally be able to have on like any hardware. And it's something that I've been talking about for a while, where I think the hybrid approach of local hardware and cloud is going to be a big deal eventually. And when it comes to Microsoft, this really isn't anything new. If you remember the marketing back in 2013 or so, when the Xbox One was launching, it was less powerful than the PS4, but Microsoft was going to utilize the cloud to make up for that. The problem is the cloud wasn't anywhere near ready to handle that. Yeah. And games like Titanfall and others that were supposed to utilize for upscaling and better resolution and graphic fidelity, loading, all these different things didn't really pan out, and they kind of moved away from it for the most part. But all of that's coming back. All of that idea is kind of coming back. And I think you're going to see sort of a three-pronged approach when it comes to cloud for so many companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Intel, NVIDIA, probably AMD eventually, even more heavily. It's going to keep coming. You've got the developer side where you're going to create these cloud solutions to develop games in the cloud, whether they run on local hardware only, whether they run on cloud only, whether they're a combination. You can develop with your team in the cloud with more power, tools, and continuity between your teams than you ever had before. That's going to be a big one, and that will help make money to invest in other areas. You're also going to have the hybrid approach like Ubisoft's Scalar, or what other companies will do, where they combine cloud power and local power to create other gaming experiences. And then your third thing is just straight up cloud gaming streaming like we're used to with xCloud, Stadia, and so on. And it will take all three of those, plus more, for cloud to truly be the kind of success that everybody wants it to be. But I see such a push. I think Maker was talking earlier about, it was either GeForce Now or somebody else was talking about combining and becoming something like 4,000 teraflops of cloud power. Intel's out there with their article that they're coming out with a consumer side and B2B side, and that they have a 10-year plan with their hardware that's coming out. It'll offer petaflops of power for game development, and things like that. So there's a lot of big things happening in cloud that I personally kind of was thinking of, but was never thinking of it the way I am now. With like, it seems like every company was on the same track and just like released all the information at the same time. Like everyone's going to be offering these SDKs or these cloud tools to build games and stuff. And it's just exciting to see, because the more developers that get into that and leverage that, they may become that much more comfortable with bringing their titles to cloud because they're developing them in the cloud, if that makes any sense.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, just go ahead, Maker.
Oh, I wanted to also say that Microsoft's probably one of the first one to really utilize cloud effectively in a game already, which is with Microsoft Flight Sim. That's one of the
Yes.
showcase examples of utilizing the cloud to pull data. There's over a petabyte of satellite imagery that they pull from for Microsoft Flight Sim, and that's through Azure. And real-time weather is another implementation that they have through the game as well, and that's something that I don't think any other game has, or even remotely comes close to.
Yeah, it's truly unique. I mean, and I still to this day, like when I see like a hurricane pop up near a storm or whatever, I can jump on Flight Sim, I can go fly out, and you'll actually see this real-time weather and different things happening. It's so cool. And they were smart on PC, because with Flight Sim, you can go in and turn off that data, that extra part, but it really dumbs down the game experience. Like,
it looks so bad in comparison.
It's bad, right? It's so bad in comparison. So like for people that don't have the internet infrastructure, it's just not working for them and their system can't handle it. I'm glad they put that in, that you could turn it off, but man, you're not playing the same game if you're not using the cloud along with that game. So that's a great example. And yeah, that game's fantastic for that.
Yeah, I overall think all of this is exciting, man. Just following up, reading up on it just shows that these companies again see the future and the benefit of cloud. There's a game that Microsoft released that was supposed to be taking advantage of the cloud, but it didn't do too well. It was kind of like Just Cause. What's the name of that game? Anyone remember?
Crackdown.
What's it called?
Crackdown.
Yeah.
After Titanfall's whole, we're going to use the cloud. They had Crackdown 3 was supposed to, be this powerful. That just never. Look, we weren't ready, and oftentimes these companies are trying to do things ahead of the game, and try to, and it just doesn't work out. Crackdown 3
I wonder,
is
like,
hilarious.
how what did they use cloud for in that game? What were they trying to accomplish with cloud?
It was with building destruction, like
the computational power for the demolition of building destruction and stuff, and how great it was going to look and play.
Oof.
So, but hopefully we're getting there now, almost 10 years later,
right.
From those development cycles that began with Crackdown way back. Then that, we're going into a whole new era of cloud. And what I was saying before is what's allowing that is our advancements in technology. You have the Steam Deck. You have that device because our advancements in CPU and GPU technology and other things, efficiency of power, all these things that are coming together. And the more we progress, the better cloud offerings we can have, the more powerful we can get. So we're just starting to get to that point where our technology is faster, where we can have these things. It's pretty crazy. A decade ago, we weren't there for the vision that a lot of these developers had. It wasn't there yet. Hopefully it will be now.
Agreed. Yeah, man, it's exciting stuff. But let's. So, any of you guys watched the Xbox Kim lady do her thing? What are your thoughts on that presentation, and how excited did that get you guys for the future of just Xbox focusing on creating games in the cloud? Anyone can answer.
I'll jump in. So everybody's jumping on at once here. What I was more excited about, yes, we're going to have the big hitters coming. We've got the Hideo Kojima game coming, which was meant to be coming to Stadia, but we don't talk about that bit. But that game is going to xCloud, and I'm not a big fan of him, believe it or not. Very pretentious. No, we won't go into the slagging off of him because we don't want you to get all it on here. But I'm not a big fan of him, but I'm actually excited for him doing the big, massive cloud game. What I'm actually really happy about is they're wanting the experimental games out there, games which are just going to mess about with the cloud. Can you do X, Y, and Z? That was part of the presentation, and that's where I'm wanting to see what these early games are going to show us, because these early games can set the scene of what's going to happen in the big AAA sort of games, because that's what really sort of happens. The indie games do something a bit weird, do something a bit different, and then the big leaders then take that idea and run with it. So that's what I'm excited about, just to see what is going to happen that way.
I will add, I have a fear. I fear cloud-only games. And maybe that's because we're not, maybe that's because there isn't, other than the GFN 3080, which can still have its problems, I don't know that we offer a good enough experience for the mass market in cloud to say this game's cloud only. I mean, look at the Nintendo Switch, and I know that's only one example of really poorly done cloud gaming, but only one game control is playable out of like 6, 8, 10, I forget how many cloud games and they've come cloud only to the Switch. You pay $60 for them, and they may or may not work for you at all. So unless the experience is where it needs to be for everybody to be able to jump in, cloud only starts to scare me a little bit with the current offerings that we see. That doesn't mean it doesn't get better in the future.
Okay, fair enough.
If you put a game that's xCloud only right now, that's horrible, because I know too many people that cannot play xCloud. I'm having a good experience on the PC app right now, but even for me for a while, it was horrendous. And it's sporadic on different devices. So if you're going to offer me an xCloud only game, like a cloud only game, then that service needs to then be much more stable, better for more people. Not everybody's going to have the internet, and it's going to have to be above 1080p. Like, we're going to have to get these services to the point where, like, we're not even happy with where cloud is yet, and we're talking about cloud only experiences. Well, I got to see both come together. That's kind of my fear with cloud only.
Yeah, good point with that. Good point.
Yeah, I have to agree. I have to agree with the xCloud sort of stuff there. That's why I want the smaller games. I do not want the big, massive. That's why I'm excited about the smaller games first, just to get a test of it. Believe it or not, me and Kelly this week were playing Gears of War. Both of us were on xCloud. I was on my phone playing it. She was playing it on console, and it was working absolutely flawlessly for us. It was right up there. It's just so inconsistent for people, and that's the biggest frustration. GFN and Stadia, for the most part, are in the ballpark. They're playable for most people, I would say, generally speaking. But xCloud still has that big hurdle to actually clear, and that's the frustrating thing about it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Go ahead, Maker.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I actually wasn't too surprised at them coming out and saying this. I think the big thing is that this was announced at GDC. I knew about this beforehand because I had been tracking some things, and they had made the announcement that Kim Swift had been, hired for making cloud games back last summer was when she got hired. And so I knew that they have been working on this, and I think this was their first really big showcase. The GDC, the biggest dev conference out there. It's really smart to do that, because that shows developers, hey, you got ideas, bring them to us. And I just can't wait to see which one nails it, because I know there's going to be some misses. Look at Crackdown, it failed. But like the flight sim are the ones that really make me super happy. Like I want to see them use it successfully and integrate it to where it feels like it has a purpose and that it utilizes that cloud efficiently, and a game that I think everyone can probably enjoy. So and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Guys, can I say something? right? This week again, it's just been incredible for cloud gaming. Again, we have the AWS games, we have the Microsoft um, stuff that was announced, and then something that went quite under the radar was Sony making another acquisition. And a lot of people are talking about that, but Jade Raymond's team was acquired by Sony. I swear, like it almost feels like no one is talking to me. People might not know a lot about that, but I was on Twitter trying to check out that announcement. It wasn't like when Sony purchased Bungie, hardly talked about. But I think Sony also wants to get in this game as to okay, cloud focused games like only available in the cloud. We know what Jade Raymond is working on, and so do you guys think Sony sees the value of what these companies are doing too, and do you think that they want a piece of this action with this acquisition?
One thing I like, and I will say, in like the cloud space, because it kind of depends on who you're following on social media and whatnot. And in the cloud space, I didn't see much hoopla about PlayStation's purchase, but when I went over and started reading articles more just toward like your local hardware crowd, there was a pretty good amount of excitement and hype over it. What I like is if Sony continues its quality, right? Like I love Xbox to death, but we do know that Sony oftentimes focuses on some high quality titles that we all love.
Yeah.
If they looked at Haven and were like, a partnership's not good enough, like they saw the pitch.
Yeah.
Out of 3 games or something, they were supposed to pick one, pick 2. Said, do this one first. If that works, we do the next one. And we're buying, like, we'll purchase you. We'll be a closer partner. I think that speaks a lot for what they're working on, that Sony did that. And that's actually the first time I've cared about anything Jade Raymond's working on or the Haven. I really haven't cared because, with the stuff with Stadia and leaving, and then she's a studio, and where's those games going to go, and what's the project going to look like? What's the funding going to look like, right? How's this going to pan out? Well, you don't have to worry about that anymore. The funding, the tools, the support, and the fact that Sony saw it that way and grabbed them up. I don't think it was just Microsoft buys all these things, we need to buy more. Sony's been fairly particular about what they're purchasing and doing it at a certain pace, and grabbing Bungie, grabbing Haven. I like what I see because I also have my PS5 here, just like Maker, I'm sure. I have my Series X and S here. I got my PC here. I love it all. So like that gets me excited again for like, okay, Sony, come on, because I love what Xbox is doing. Now I want to see more out of you, because for me, the PS5 generation is a little weak compared to some other things that have been out in offerings. The PS5 runs great. A lot of the titles have done well, but I don't know. I've been gravitating away, but I'm getting more excited now seeing what Sony's doing. I definitely can't wait till the announcement next week. I need that new subscription. I know we're about to get into that too. Like that's what I need, that new sub. I want to see what they bring, even though I'm trying to temper expectations. But so I think it's a good sign. I love seeing them buy Haven.
Yeah. How about you? I'm curious with Duncan and Maker here. What are your thoughts about this acquisition from Sony?
Haven, if you're a Stadia fan, earmuffs now. This is what could have been, from what I'm hearing. This is quite.
See, I didn't want to go down the path of what could have been, Just, poor Stadia, man.
Yeah. From what is out there anyway, you can see Sony have said this is something good, and the chances are at least one of these games, if it's not the same game it was going to be on Stadia, it's bloody well really close to one, because it'd be bringing over all that sort of stuff. So that must be extremely frustrating. But they must have something really, really good there, because, as Jerry said, they wouldn't be going there to buy them unless that game was looking absolutely outstanding. And it's just really, I can't wait to see more about it. And it's going to be really, really great. We'll go back to the content. As Jerry says, when you're going to, exactly what play more or less. If you know the next Naughty Dog game's coming, it's going to be absolutely top tier. You just know the quality, and it's I just want to see more. The Spartacus stuff, I will say with my piece in the Spartacus stuff when we come to it, but I think we're letting
We're
ourselves
getting
get built
close.
to,
We're getting close there.
we're
We're getting
building
close to
ourselves up to
Spartacus.
disappointment, I think.
Stop it. Um, let's Makers, you man. Thoughts on the acquisition?
I think it's good on them. Being bought out by Sony is big. Sony's a really big company, and having that umbrella and support is really not, like, look at the studios that they've grown over there at Sony, and that's what I look forward to seeing what can come of fruition once Sony puts their backing behind them. If they support them, uh, do any game can fail, so this one can too. But I'm not like I think it's gonna do fine, whatever it is, and I look forward to seeing what they had in mind, and maybe it's not quite the vision that they had over at Stadia, but the fact is that it's a project that they wanted to push, and they're doing it with Sony, and Sony wants that content.
Yeah, dude. Shout outs to Sony, which is, being aggressive with acquisitions. I wonder like if this is it's gonna be quite interesting because I wonder if they pitch this to other, to like I know, Sony was working with them, but I wonder if they went to Microsoft and, said, hey, would you guys be interested in like some type of partnership, or Amazon. I just thinking outside the box here, but like for Sony to make this acquisition, number one, tells me that they see something they like, but number two, um I'm wondering like if it was a battle of content, like, other people might be interested, so they want to scoop it up as soon as possible. I don't know, but it's going to be quite interesting. I cannot wait to see this game, like seeing where, this game came from and where it's going to end up. I am like, sorry, Stadians, but if this game, is as good as Sony envisions and sees it to be, I mean, it's just gonna be one of those like kick in the pants type. Man, if they would have followed through with the original focus of creating first party IPs, like this probably could have been what they could have had. So it's gonna be pretty cool to see the end product of this. But yeah, man, it's just, again, this week has just been insane with cloud gaming news as a whole. But let's move on to Spartacus. I see people in the chat want us to talk about this, man. So I called it, based on the rumors, and Duncan, do not poop on my parade, man. Let's be excited here, right? I said this month, end of this month, we would hear something from these people. Sony, they give us like a little state of play, two of them, and it got me hyped and got other people hyped, thinking that this was when we're gonna see this. But rumors from Bloomberg, I would say they, reputable. So coming from them, I would say this is something that I would say has a higher chance of happening next week. But if you guys don't know what we're talking about, Spartacus, which is Sony's, they want to call it answer to Game Pass, but I don't think, I don't know. I think it's different from Game Pass. But that's pretty much what this is, to where they have different tiers, and you should be able to cloud game with this. It's going to be what PlayStation Now ends up becoming. Holy crap. It's happening, guys. It's happening. So I'm just gonna talk about my predictions of what we're gonna see next week. So I'm gonna ask, do you think we're gonna see it next week? I'm gonna ask, what do you think your predictions are going to be with the announcement? And then the last I'm gonna ask is, how soon do you think they're gonna release it? Right. So I'm gonna start with Makers here, right? Do you think they'll announce it next week? What do you think we'll see with the announcement? And when do you think they're gonna release it?
I I'm gonna believe the article because Jason Schreier is very reputable
Right.
when it comes to the video game industry,
Right.
and I think it's going to be unveiled next week,
Okay.
and I think it's going to release. Oh man, I'm gonna say a month from now. I think they're going to announce it and say it's going to go into effect a month from now. I think that's an adequate amount of time for people to transition, whatever subscription service that they have over. And I don't think it'll be instant. I don't think it'll just be snap of the finger and we're directly moving into it. I think it's going to be a little bit of time, a month or two, and then it rolls out. But I'm interested to see what it is. But based on these rumors, I'm not getting too excited about it because the main key thing for me would be day and date titles through first party, and based on the rumors, it doesn't look like that's going to happen at all.
So let me ask you this, right? If they go the Disney Plus route to where you get a game released in under like 2 months before retail, would you be comfortable with something like that, right? So it's not like same day release, but they would get it sooner in the platform than it being released to retail.
I could more so see that newer titles or first party titles you get a discount on purchasing them if you have this subscription. I could see that. Like, let's say you have the subscription and you only have to pay $40 for the new God of War, instead of the full 70. I would 100% subscribe and then pay the 40 for that game. So, that's just me.
Okay. So based on the rumors, you were saying you're not too excited because again, you want the same day release titles, but based on what the rumors saying, we're probably not gonna get that. Is there anything like any secrets that you're hoping to, see? I'm hoping with you that the leaked rumors are not what we're truly gonna get. But what I guess like for you, what would the ideal Spartacus? What would you want that to look like?
I would like day and date titles with it, and maybe some indies. Some like Sifu and stuff like that to be those type of titles be released with it, similar to Game Pass, but offering different titles or different publishers. And I think both of them, Game Pass and PlayStation, can offer like this similar service, but still be relevant in the space, like how HBO Max and Netflix and Hulu are all they all have their own like niche. They all have their own base. So, and that's what I hope for.
Okay, fair enough. How about you, Jared? What again? Date wise, right? Do you think we'll see this next week? What do you think they'll announce, and also release date?
So I've said this before about Spartacus is kind of temper expectations because I think this is a road of changes for Sony, not an all at once kind of thing. Now, the biggest thing that has to happen, and I think this is first, is obviously I've been complaining about the two different subs I pay for. PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Now. I want those combined, and I want tiers of service, right? Game Pass has 3 different tiers of service, either just console, just PC, or Ultimate for all of it, including cloud. They don't break out cloud alone, and I don't think Sony will either yet, not for a while. So the tiers do make sense. The announcement next week makes sense. It's about time for them. I think it's immediate. I think either the day of the announcement or within a week by April 7th, 10th in that area, that it happens. Sony kind of, especially with a sub like this, I don't see the reason to announce it and say in a month or 2 months. We're not looking at PlayStation 5 Cloud here. That's not coming. That's not happening right now. This is just combining the 2 subs into one sub, breaking it into 3 tiers and offering people more choice. They're supposedly going to announce some titles being added, some big titles. We don't know what that is yet. And we don't know how many of those titles will be local hardware bound or also available in cloud, because that's PS4 only titles in the cloud right now. So there's a lot of unknown. But I think the combining of subscriptions, the tiers of what we have currently happens next week, and that becomes effective almost immediately or very shortly after. For the more long term, though, like PS5 games coming to not just the subscription service for your console, but for cloud, I could easily see that being more like a fall time. I don't know how long it's going to take them to get to the whole PS5 game thing. I wish they would. PS Now works really well for me on the PC app, but a lot of the PS4 games run at 30 FPS, and it's just an issue for me on a 1080p 60 stream to be running 720 to 1080 30 FPS in a lot of the games. So they got to get the hardware there. But as far as quality of the picture and latency and everything, they've got a good thing going. But the PS5 Now, I did read like a few months ago, like they've been internally testing the whole PS5 cloud thing for quite a while. But then I've heard rumors that they want to use stacked GPUs to run PlayStation games instead of PS5 blades, which, like Xbox did Series X blades. We were assuming PlayStation would do like PS5 blades, but we don't know exactly where they're going. I think that's a ways off. So if you're a person waiting to play PS5 titles in the cloud, I think you're ways off for that. But for those of us who sub to PS Now and to PS Plus and are looking for that subscription change and maybe some newer titles being added, I think it's going to be good. And I think we're all going to pay less than what we're paying now for the 2 subs, which will make me happy, because if you don't buy yearly, like if you just pay the normal prices, you don't get anything discounted, I think you're paying like $120 a year or something like that for the 2 combined. So, I definitely think we'll be looking at something cheaper. Even 15 a month would be cheaper than what I would pay now on a monthly basis.
Right. Thanks for that, Jerry. Yeah. I do think what you is going to be same day release of announcement, but I'll say my piece in a bit. How about you, Duncan? What do you think we'll see? Again, release. Do you think we'll get the announcement next week? What is going to be in the announcement, and when do you think they'll release it?
We are going to get the announcement next week. I think most of us were in agreement we're probably going to be getting it this month. Not all the indications were there. When we'll get it, I would say a week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't think they'll put it out for a month. I think we're going to get it relatively quick. I think we're going to maybe 2-week mark for it. So what we're going to see from this, we're just going to see smoke and mirrors. We are just going to get it all combined in. You're going to make it jazz it all up and make it look all brand new and shiny, when in fact it just combined it. I do like the sound of they're going to drop some more bigger games into the library, which is great to see. And what I'm hoping to happen, what I really want to happen is day and date releases, but we're not going to see that because PlayStation do not need to do that. Xbox need to do that. PlayStation don't need to do that.
Why don't PlayStation need to do that?
Because people buy their games, and their games are worth the money, and that their full price money, and that is unfortunately the where I come from. It for me, Microsoft. I was thinking about this when you guys were talking. Microsoft's games at this moment in time for me would be the equivalent. Roughly, and this is just being really, really rough. Of at Ubisoft, they are good games, but they're not great games.
Oh damn! Wow.
Oh, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's okay to have that opinion.
Deathloop, Psychonauts 2, they all have a word with you about.
Yeah, dude.
I will still.
Well, yeah, indie games are the greatest, and so simulators. But keep going, Duncan.
Yeah, my most anticipated game of this year is the PlayStation exclusive,
which is God of War.
God of War.
God of War, absolutely, and that is where I'm really excited. And people are going.
You like Forza though, and Halo. Does Mario?
No, I absolutely detest Halo. I flipping hate Halo. I think.
But you played Forza. Forza was your game for a bit.
Yep, Forza is the perfect chill-out game. I'm going to be getting Gran Turismo because GT is an absolute once in a generation game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Gran Turismo. But for me, PlayStation can afford to say no, we're not putting in there because their games are worth the money. People may not like the sound of that, but unfortunately, they are. And I don't think PlayStation can afford to take the hit because they're not as big as Microsoft as well. People were going, "Oh yes, they'll get the subs increase there," but some of these games for PlayStation are saying that are like 10 million copies. Times that by even $40. That's a fair bit of money there, which they can't really afford to go on, Maker. We're in school now. We're in school.
I did want to say that I agree that the production value of PlayStation games are almost unrivaled. The amount of money and like just going around Horizon Forbidden West, because I do have a PS5. It is a beautiful game, and it is they're like Last of Us Part 2, Horizon. They are unmatched with that the tech level of how good these games look. Like I think maybe like Red Dead 2 might be up there, but there are not many developers that can match the tech quality or the graphical quality that they can achieve in their games.
Yeah.
Which is why I was so surprised that Gran Turismo 7, for me, is such a letdown when it comes to what I would consider the newest PS5 racing game title. I'm sorry, Forza Horizon 5 destroys Gran Turismo 7 in every possible way
Graphics
that you can imagine. It's an arcade racer versus sim, so there's a lot of different things going on. But if you just sit down and say next gen title, you're going back over to Forza all day long. Like it's just, I've traded in Gran Turismo 7 already. I thought I would keep it forever. I bought it physically. I put like 10 hours into it, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Wow. I was just not really I was really let down. Not that there aren't a lot of good things about it, but like almost everything Sony has done has been pretty darn good. But wow, I don't know. Gran Turismo 7 really let me down.
You're not the only one saying that, dude. I'm reading articles about the whole microtransaction nonsense they have going for that game too. It's just
there's a lot of drama around GT7.
But no, go ahead.
So I was actually going to go into that because not that part, but I do think you will see some first-party games go day and date into your new service into Spartacus, but it's going to be the exception rather than the rule. It's for people who don't know or who don't follow a lot of the news and stuff like that. PlayStation are changing their model a hell of a lot. They're still going to be doing the big first or single player games like God of War and things like that, The Last of Us, but they're also expanding out into gas games. And I can see a lot of these gas games going in maybe day and date or relatively quickly into Spartacus. So I think that is something to keep an eye on. But PlayStation do not need to drop the first party games in straight away. But I think we're going to see them go in a lot quicker, and they won't leave. I think we're going to see in 6 months.
Because I was thinking you'll see like the games from last year. Do you think when they drop the new sub, they're gonna drop like Miles Morales or like Returnal?
Yes, I do.
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, because they don't need to. They could drop those. They're older games. Just don't drop Horizon Forbidden West. Don't drop God of War. Don't drop GT7. But drop last year's exclusives into there. Not bad.
Yeah. So let me say that. Go ahead.
And space them out. I don't think we're going to get them all in one go. I think they're going to go.
No. Look, these guys have to come out with a bang, you know? Like so if rumors are true based on this leak, who the hell is gonna care about this stuff? It might be good for you, Jared, because again they combine in, PlayStation Plus now and
I just want to spend less money. I'll be happy with the combination first, and then progress to the titles in the cloud from there. But
but I think with this announcement they're gonna come out with a bang. So here's what I'm thinking that no one's talking about. Microsoft, we know, said that they are working to where you can make purchases of your game in the marketplace and play it in the cloud. Who the hell is to say Sony's not going to be the first people to do that with Spartacus, right? Again, they're not losing money, but that's a good way for you to be able to experience your first-party exclusive games. And I think they need to make noise with this service. They need to do something that Microsoft's already not doing. And that, I think, is something that we might see. Signal, just like what you guys were saying, I would be really shocked if PS5 games are not able to be played in the cloud. Again, it's a letdown. It's a letdown. It doesn't have to be like the newest God of War, but games that have already released. Here is Microsoft giving you same day release games, next gen in the cloud, and Sony has nothing to offer.
Well, Sony has an ace
I
up their
would be really
sleeve. Ace.
shocked.
Wait, does that
What's
make?
the
Yeah.
ace? Yeah, that's
Well,
cool.
because if you think about it, because a lot of people complain about the cross-gen, but all of the exclusives for PlayStation 5 from year one to this year or whatever are playable
Are
on the
all-
PS4,
yeah,
meaning
that's true.
they could technically be on PS Now. They
PS
could run those versions.
Yep.
They won't be the best version. They may
True.
be lower FPS or whatever, but if they wanted to, they
Yeah.
could put Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. They could put Returnal. They could put
Yeah.
Miles Morales, Demon Soul. I mean, they could put a lot of, well, not, no, Demon Souls wasn't on PS4, but there's a lot of games they could put there that were also on the PS4. So while that was like a drawback, and guys with next gen consoles
Yeah.
don't really like cross gen titles because it tends to hold them back, it could actually be a positive thing for them when it comes to their cloud offering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we're going to see something along those lines. The leaks are good to let us know what's coming, but I think Sony still has like stuff up these sleeves that hasn't been leaked or announced yet.
I think they do. I think they do have something big up their sleeve, but I do not think it's anything to do with cloud. I think they're going to drop in a big, massive game or two that we're not even thinking about, like an Elden Ring or something completely another out from left field. A couple of big, massive games. I don't think cloud is in their agenda. They're just going to combine it and maybe tease PlayStation 5 stuff later this year, but I don't think it's going to be a big push for them.
So if they are announcing this service that they've claimed that this is they said this is their answer to Xbox Game Pass, whatever that they're announcing at this announcement has to like have this involved. Say it be cloud or like some discounts with it. But they're not just gonna announce like new IPs that has nothing to do with this new service that they're trying to launch. I think they're gonna try to do something to one up Microsoft, and whatever that is, I think it's gonna be the same day release purchase. But whatever that is, I don't know. But we'll come back here next week, hopefully, and we'll talk about what that X factor was for them. But go ahead, Maker.
I wanted to say I agree that they do have something up their sleeve. My thing is I don't see PS5 games just yet in the cloud, but that's just because of how hard it is for manufacturers to push out PS5s right now. So I don't think we're going to see any kind of that type of hardware. Yeah, the games that can be played on PS4, I can see those eventually coming. Maybe Miles Morales dropping, that day when Spartacus fully releases. I think that'll be one of the titles that entices them. But I also think these game trials that are rumored, I think that's going to be their big push, where they'll probably say, "Hey, Hogwarts Legacy, the day it comes out, you get everybody who has this subscription service gets 2 free hours of playing this game."
That's so lame, dude. Like, what? I don't see how that's gonna like.
Hogwarts Legacy day one on Spartacus, whatever you want to call it. I think we're going to see something
2 hours?
No, for the full game. I think we're going to get something big like that.
No, I don't think that. I think they're going to want the full amount of that money. That they're already using like a really popular IP. They're going to want that money.
I do love the demos because if Sony doesn't do anything about their return policy, which is basically god awful once you download a game, demos can be really important for people. I don't know about tying them into a sub service, but I guess so. Kind of like EA lets you get 10 hours of certain games when they come out with your EA subscription and different things like that. So I do love like demos and trials and stuff, especially when you have a horrible return policy.
Yeah.
But it only does so much.
Let me say this though about demos and trials, and I'm a little skeptical about this. So knowing Sony, knowing how much quality means for them, right? When they try to demo a game, I'm assuming they want people to play this game and like have a really good experience to convince them to go buy the game. First of all, the cloud performance and rig in the cloud is gonna have to be like top notch, right? Again, you wanting people to get that experience of, wow, this looks good, like I'm having a good time, so I'm gonna make that. If you have a crappy performance, that kills the experience. So if that's gonna play a huge role with the whole demo and trials thing, right? So does that mean, right, that we're gonna get a beefier cloud experience? Are we gonna get 4K? If that's the route that they're going to go with demo, and I just don't see them allowing like PlayStation Now to be that driver for trials and demos, because it's not that
yet.
great of experience.
I think if you see trials and demos, I think what Maker might be more alluding to is the service as a whole. They would offer that as a perk for your local hardware. Just like we talk about
local.
Game Pass in the
Okay.
sense of cloud all the time, but Game Pass is only cloud this much. It is console and PC this much. You know what I mean? So same with what PlayStation's doing. Their main focus might not be cloud yet, but it's going to stay a part of it and grow.
Yeah.
But this subscription combining is going to focus heavily on the local hardware opportunities, though, as well, more than cloud.
I thought the leak said, how did they word it? Like trial. I thought it specifically like mentioned cloud trials type stuff. To me,
I read
it makes,
something about the
it
trials
makes
too,
no
but
sense of like local trials, local beta. I mean, Sony went away from that, right? And like cloud is the perfect solution because again, you have to download it. Like cloud is just like instant trial. Like I just don't see them making that part local. I feel like it defeats the whole purpose. They might as well go back to doing demos again, which it sounds like they're trying to break away from. But again, with clouds, it's just like instant try it, like it, buy it type situation. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyone else to add to this, man? I'm excited, Duncan. Like I'm excited. I know people might say it don't get you experience, but we need some. I know all these companies are having like future cloud plans and all that stuff is good, but I feel like lately cloud has been dried, and this is something that I think we'll see happen a lot sooner than later. And so I'm excited, man. I think
I'll say
cloud
one thing.
needs
The
something
drop
like
of the
this.
GFN 3080 taught me that as much as I may think I know and what's coming when, that you never really do. Because to be
Yeah.
honest, with November of last year, would I have thought that
Oh
we
my
got
goodness.
such a fantastic machine, in the cloud for gaming? We talk about content, yes, and we need improvements on content and cloud all around, including GFN. But I never expected that tech yet. I thought we were 2023, 2024 before something like that. So I may sit here and say, don't expect PS5 in the cloud till fall or next year or whatever, but man, who knows? Sony could come out and just be like,
they work in the
boom.
back. They work in the background.
We only know so much.
So Jay's asking, how is cloud dry?
Content's been dry. If
The-
you want to
the
talk about
content
that,
has been really
tech is
dry.
proceeding, but content has felt dry.
Content's dry.
I can name a bunch, like just off the top of my head. Elden Ring, Lost Ark.
It's
Those
not
two
only
are-
that. It's not only that, but I feel like, for instance, like Google Stadia, right? Compare them where they are now to where they were last year. Yes, we got features and all that stuff, but Stadia at one point they were getting like AAA releases the same day. We're not seeing that with them this year.
2020 was my big Stadia year, where I was
Yeah.
really hitting a lot of the games, to be honest.
And then
Great
Amazon,
titles.
Amazon Luna officially launched and exclusive to the US, and don't have like a killer third party channel. Like and we're not talking about Jackbox here, right? Geforce Now, we've talked about the last 3 weeks. Look at the game releases, right? It hasn't, since the 3080 released and New World came out in Crisis. We got Dying Light 2 in February, but apart from that, there hasn't like really been games to showcase that tier, right? So that's what I mean by and to be honest, if you really want to know what I'm talking about, like go on Google Trends and search Google Stadia, Geforce Now. I would say Xbox Cloud Gaming is like the only one that, has a steady incline. But you'll see that interest has declined for cloud. You can go look it up yourself. But yeah, man, it's just, I don't know, man. We need something. We need that. Oh man, like excitement for cloud again.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and I think Microsoft's bringing it with their announcements this week. They're talking. Jay's talking about they're not cloud native games. They are locking down cloud native games. If you go read their thing, they are wanting any cloud native games to be exclusive to Xbox when they come
yeah.
talking.
But
So
that's like fuchsia stuff, though. I'm
yeah.
talking about like,
Oh yeah, I was just taking that point there. For this year, cloud has been frustrating. We I think was it Marchi who maybe said this. Everybody was panicking about Google coming out here and running with the ball and shaking things up. But unfortunately, instead of running with the ball, they went and fumbled the ball, and everybody has sort of calmed down, and they're not pushing Clyde as much because they don't really need to. GFN are in their spot. They are targeting their market. Xbox is just rolling xCloud out as a complementary. PlayStation are doing PlayStation. So the rush for cloud has sort of calmed down now. And yeah, I sort of agree with that with Marty, but I don't want it to slow down. I want it to speed up. I want
yes.
everybody fighting and doing things.
I
And
love that, dude. That was so fun, for
yeah,
cloud. It's fun for the consumers.
Just just wanted to mention, like, just look at last year, early year for Stadia. You had Hitman 3, you had Little Nightmares 2, you had Outriders, you had the announcement for Village coming to Stadia. So
Judgment
where
remastered, right?
where are those announcements now with
Yeah.
Stadia? What we had, like Life is Strange remastered, which was delayed. It was
Rainbow
originally
Six
supposed to.
Extractions, bro.
I'm more so talking like non-Ubisoft
Yeah.
titles because
Yeah.
Ubisoft goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I mean. Like
Yeah, I know.
It's a pretty apparent that their spending on these AAA, these big titles, has gone down. Like, otherwise, why aren't they here? Where are they?
Yeah. No, you hit it right in the head. It just compared where they are this year to where they were last year. It's huge difference, man. They're not as aggressive as they used to be, and that's again, go on Google Trends if you don't believe us. If you think we're blowing smoke out of our behinds, go on Google Trends and you just search it. Compare this year to last year and like see where the interest is. Not a lot of people are searching up cloud like they were previously. But yeah, man. Anyone else want to add to this? We did a good
you know
job.
me, I can talk for hours upon hours upon hours.
Yeah.
As the weeks and months go past, I think we talked about it when it was first announced. The Steam Deck, for me, is just going to go hand in hand with cloud gaming now. It is. I could see that becoming my number one played thing, and using cloud to supplement it now because you can, and that's even getting rid of me Xbox and the PlayStation because then games are going to PC now. It's I think we're moving into a completely and utterly different sort of stage now, and cloud for a lot of things is not waning. It's getting the ball's getting kicked further down the pitch here, and I really hope it changes because I think there's just so much opportunities there.
Yeah. So cloud has slowed down, like we were saying, and yeah, again, I gamed exclusively in cloud for a bit, and when I heard like people moving over to the Xbox, I was like, oh, you traitors, you son of a guns. But like, dude, after like having the deck and playing locally, I'm just like, if you're a gamer, if you want the latest games, like you doing yourself shit. Like, sorry guys, I know this is a cloud focused channel, so I might get but you doing yourself a disservice, bro. Like, I'm just gonna be 100% real. It doesn't hurt to pick something up again, my eyes are open to this because I've been playing locally, and I'm like, holy crap, like I'm enjoying gaming, again. But if you guys have to really look into getting something until cloud picks up, because right now it's slow as hell. Just gonna be 100% real with you guys. That's the reality. But yeah, a device like the Steam Deck is a great supplementary device to get you game in the cloud. And if the game's not available, you have it there locally to play on the go. Convenience, right? But yeah, anyway, anyone else? All right, man, we did it. I am Cloud till love you, my dude. Love it, love it.
I will say in Ace's defense, the man is the biggest cloud gamer I have ever met. He's played more in
Dude.
cloud than anybody I've ever known.
Dude.
And to watch him with the Steam Deck and be able to
Dude.
experience cloud on there, learning Linux, experience some local
Dude.
gaming on there, it's been awesome to watch.
Yeah.
What that device has done for someone like you. And that's why I've been talking about things like the Steam Deck and handheld PCs that are coming and that are affordable and powerful now. It's really going to change the game. And it doesn't mean stepping away from cloud. It means having more options, more portability, more convenience, and doing all of that. And just watching you with that the past couple weeks has been awesome.
Dude.
And it's doing everything that I thought it would do for people out there that want to
Yeah.
jump into this stuff. Yeah.
It's a great, it goes hand in hand with cloud. Again, for some reason, Stadians believe it's like the enemy. I think it's a plus.
It's your
man.
friend. The Steam
It's your
Deck is the
friend.
enemy to no one. Okay.
Especially
It
like
is-
if Ubisoft is the AAA provider for Stadia right now, Ubisoft Plus and this device, like you can play games utilizing the cloud to get the best experience, but then download the game on your Steam Decks. For if you don't have Wi-Fi, you can continue. Save progression continues. I mean, it's an awesome device, man. But we'll be back here next week, man. Sony's gonna blow the roof off. I have faith in them, man. I have faith. We're gonna come here like singing Spartacus praises. Also, we didn't even talk about the names, man. They probably PlayStation Plus Plus, PlayStation Now Plus, whatever they're gonna call it. It's gonna be awesome. So we're gonna come back here next week talking about that, man. So get this. I feel like next week we're gonna have some. It's gonna be bananas because once one says something, others are gonna. I wonder if that's gonna push like others to really, take their cloud gaming stuff seriously too. So don't be surprised if there's more than one cloud announcement for this week coming up. But all right, we're out of time. Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for the super chat, Polaris. I believe that was you. Appreciate that. And we'll be back next week, man. We'll have a lot to talk about. So catch you there, guys. Till next time, peace out.